Hi everyone, this is Dr.Manu krishnan.K. We all know that the eyes are useless when the mind is blind. That is applicable in case of the anatomy of nervous system. Once you start studying the nervous system, there are chances that you can be blind towards a subject because you don't know the basics of it. Without knowing the basics, trying to learn further into the deeper anatomy of nervous system is much more complex than you can imagine. Also, how to decode it? The easiest way is to learn from the basics. So let's begin with the basics of nervous system, where we deal with the basic functions of it, and we'll try to identify the divisions of nervous system. When it comes to the functions of nervous system, it can be broadly summarized into these three headings: the reception, integration, and perception. So the reception is nothing but the reception of stimulus from the external environment or from the internal environment of your human body. And it is integrated in your brain, and there will be the perception of that particular stimulus. When the perception happens, there will be an appropriate response also happening there. So the simultaneous response is done by the stimulus being carried directly into the central nervous system, where it is processed, and there will be an impulse sent to the effector organ. Here it is a muscle. So when the person touches the heat source, the response is sent to the effector organ, that is the muscles of the arm, that will contract, and the man will pull the hand away from the source of fire. So this is how a proper response happens in the nervous system. To understand that particular functions, we should know the divisions of nervous system. So let's start with the anatomical divisions, where it is divided into central nervous system, which includes the brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system, which includes the 12 pairs of cranial nerves, 31 pairs of the peripheral nerves, and the spinal ganglia. And when it comes to the functional aspects, it is broadly categorized into the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. So let's try to understand each of them. The somatic nervous system is the voluntary control of your body, where it controls the skeletal muscles, to be exact. When you want to walk, you walk. When you want to move your hand, you move it. How does it happen? By the control of the somatic nervous system. So the skeletal muscles are functioning upon the somatic nervous system. While on the other side, the autonomic nervous system controls the involuntary movements that are happening in your body. That includes the control of smooth muscles, cardiac muscles, and the organs inside your body. So let's try to decode each of them further, where the somatic nervous system can again be subcategorized into efferent and afferent, where the efferent stands for the impulses sent to the periphery. So that carries impulses away from the central nervous system towards the periphery is called as the efferent system. That is nothing but the motor system. While the afferent, or that are the neurons or nerve fibers which carry the received impulses from the receptors to the central nervous system. So that can be the sensory part of it. So that is the subcategorization of the somatic nervous system. And when you consider the autonomic nervous system, it is categorized into sympathetic and parasympathetic, where the first one, the sympathetic, is also known as the thoracolumbar outflow, where the nerve fibers from the lateral horns of T1 to L1 spinal segments are actually forming the sympathetic part, or the thoracolumbar outflow, while the parasympathetic is the craniosacral outflow, which is peculiarly formed by the 3rd, 7th, 9th, and the 10th cranial nerves, and along with the S1, S2, S3 spinal segments. So these are the two systems, the sympathetic and parasympathetic system, which controls the involuntary functions in your body. To be more specific, here is a pictorial representation of the same, where you can see the sympathetic system on the left hand side and the parasympathetic on the right hand side. they balance each other out. So this is how the entire involuntary responses are controlled by the internal system in your body, where the sympathetic excites any of the particular organs, while the other one, the parasympathetic on the other side, it inhibits its function. For example, we can take the example of the heart. The heartbeats are accelerated by the sympathetic nervous system, that is the thoracolumbar outflow, while it is inhibited at the same time by the parasympathetic system or the craniosacral outflow. So this is how the balance is maintained in our entire human body. So this concludes the session on the basics, that is nothing but the divisions of the nervous system. I hope the idea is clear to you. Without having this knowledge of the divisions, it's very difficult to understand the nervous system further. So try to recollect all that we have discussed right now before we attend the next session on the different types of nervous tissues and its classification. Thank you.